Hey students, this is Dr. Miller. I'm going to tell you about the writing assignment. I apologize for being a bit late with this, but we still have plenty of time. I had a problem with Blackboard where the material that I had saved from my last course, last time I taught this course, Art 173 Photography, some of the material disappeared, and one of the things that disappeared was the writing assignment. So I kind of had to recreate it, but I sort of rethought it too, and I made it a little simpler. So this is my explanation of what it is. And first thing I want to point out is we now have a tab over here on this left side that says writing assignment. So this is where you're going to find the material, and there'll be a submit button added later, and you will also see an area for this video, which I'm recording now, so it's not up here. But this is the writing assignment discussion, and the first part of this is to select a photographer. And so let's look at the instructions here. Here's the instructions, and what you want to do is you're going to write a brief essay, 750 words. That's not very long. But the point of this is not for you to do a biography of a photographer. Rather, I want you to select a photographer that you care about, somebody that you are interested in, somebody that does the kind of photography that you are interested in, or perhaps maybe the photography you'd like to be interested in. So I would suggest that you do a Google search to find a photographer of interest, and you could use terms such as, if you are interested in sports photography, famous American sports photographers, or for portraits, famous American portrait photographers. I also created a link here, and this link will take you to the Wikipedia page about noted photographers. And these are all the ones from the United States of America, and there are many. And you can poke around on these, but it doesn't really help you very much. So that's why you might want to start by doing a search based on the type of photography you're interested in. On the other hand, if you know a photographer already, perhaps somebody that has some fame that you're familiar with already, that would be great. For example, Ansel Adams. I think most people probably are somewhat familiar with the photography of Ansel Adams, but there's a lot of photography that he's done that you wouldn't necessarily associate with him, but that's a place where you can get some information. Now, I created a discussion thread that you can look at that's a sample. And if we jump back to this discussion area, and this will have all of the discussions. And actually, a couple of you did not complete the first one or two of these. So if you can go back and finish those out, you'll get some points. But let's look at this one particularly, which is the one we're talking about. And I've called it my writing assignment photographer. Pretty clever. And so you see that there is a thread in here, and it was created by Lawrence Miller, me. And so let's look at my thread. I selected Mike Disfarmer. Who is Mike Disfarmer? Well, Mike Disfarmer was a portrait photographer. He was really the town photographer for Heber Springs, Arkansas. And he became famous in the 1970s, although he died in the 1950s. But his portrait work has become recognized as really outstanding. And I'm a great admirer of his technique, which is very simple, and also how he really gets to the people. So how did I find out about Mike Disfarmer? Well, to tell you the truth, I actually have known about Mike Disfarmer for a long time, but here is what we're going to do. We're going to Google and we're putting in Mike Disfarmer photographer, and I've found some different sources here. This is a gallery really that's selling prints from Disfarmer, but there's a little bit of information here. This is the Wikipedia page, which doesn't really have a great amount of information, but one of the things Wikipedia will do for you that's useful is if you were really serious about this, you would get in here and you would see that there are some books. And if you really wanted the books, you could go to the Snead State Library and ask them to see if they could get them through interlibrary loan, and you'd have that as a resource. But if you're just doing the simpler stuff, you can go on the web. And so here's a non-profit organization called Disfarmer.org, and this is sort of a project that was started by some collectors to try and basically just collect and treasure the work of Mike Disfarmer. As you can see, his style is very simple, but he's very into really ordinary people. And that's what makes his work great. And many of his photographs are sold for lots of money. I personally have had a few of them that I own sold for thousands of dollars. But he's a really interesting guy. And here's a Time magazine article that tells sort of the story. So you're going to be able to find some resources. Don't just go to Wikipedia. All right? So let's go back to the instructions here. What are you going to put in your essay? Well, you're going to not do a biography of this photographer. I can go to Wikipedia and find that out. What I want you to do is you can do a little bit of introduction. What made this photographer considered to be famous? What type of photography does this photographer do? That kind of thing. When you write your essay, I want you to really focus on how this photographer speaks to you. I would like you to use from 3 to 5 images in your essay, and you can talk specifically about the images, or you can really kind of go at a more global level and talk about why you think this photographer could influence what you do as a photographer. How has learning about this photographer changed the way you want to take photographs? You must understand that you have to write this yourself. This isn't the kind of thing that you can cut and paste out of Wikipedia or some other source. You have to actually tell about why you think this is significant and what it's going to do for you. Now, I do run everything that is written in this assignment through the tool in Blackboard called Safe Assign. If you're not familiar with it, it's a plagiarism checker, and it's really good. And it will tell me if you have simply copied and pasted a lot of material into your essay. If you want to use quotes, that's fine. Not a lot, but a couple of brief quotes is fine, but say who the source is. Now when you're done, you're going to save your document as a PDF, and then you'll submit it in the area that'll be there for you. Now let me get back to the 750 words. How long is 750 words? Well, this is Word, and this is a 12-point text, Arial text, okay? So 750 words is 1 page and a half, 1.5 pages. That's not much. So that's what you're going to write. Don't short yourself on this or you'll lose points. 750 words, not that big a deal. So I want you to be sure to get this assignment in terms of the discussion turned in by the 11th of March. Go down to the discussion link right here and use it, because this will actually take you to the thread that I created, and you really want to go up to the higher level. Anyway, this will be due on the 11th of March, So you have plenty of time to select your photographer and do this little blurb here to tell us who you're going to write about. I think it's a useful project. A lot of people will kind of shake their head a little bit when they hear that I assign an essay in a photography class. But I've found that learning about great photographers is one of the best things to become a great photographer. So that's it.